Sorry for the wait. Welcome back to the Willis Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, we are back. We are here to stay. Yeah, we are here in the building today. We had a great show for you today too, as well, man. It's a wonderful show. It's gonna sort of a not a necessarily a continuum, but it's more so of a more ground we got to cover. More ground we got to cover about people, situations, and how you know we like to put ourselves in a frame of reference where you like to think that people mean well, and oh, they just don't know any better. Oh well. No, people, they're not blind. They don't want to see. No, they don't. They're not interested in understanding what actually goes on. In the daily lives of people and how we function. Give me a second. Okay. So a lot of people have a way of just being. And a way of being, they like things to come to them because sometimes being you're just filling things out. So to say, you just I don't notice it. I don't see it. I just want this. Okay, all right. We understand. If that's what you say, but understand this for real, for real. These are illusions. Illusions are real to unhealthy people. I mean, people with a very fractured mindset, very unhealthy people. But the illusions are extremely real. They are. They are. They are more so to the point to where they even protect the illusion. They it's like a crackhead, like a junkie. Yeah, they protect illusions. You don't know what they feel. You don't know what they see. You don't know how they operate. You don't know what's going on with them. If you think about things like this, once you begin to pay attention to human behavior, you start to notice something very, very interesting, right? You start to notice things like, people just don't ignore the truth. They really don't. They don't just ignore the truth. They often replace it with something they feel more comfortable, you know. And for many people, they choose comfort. The comfort helps them illustrate the illusion much more better. It really soothes them because you got to think about it. They got to protect the ego mostly. Most of the time, it's protecting the ego. And then it's the emotional avoidance from the whole equation. Like they don't want to associate it with. They don't want to associate with it. They just like, I just don't want to deal with that kind of discomfort. Again, always wanting comfort. But then you got to understand, people create narratives to avoid change as well. They don't want to be comfortable with the truth. They like to avoid it and act as if I can just pivot and just move right along, we can just avoid all of this. We don't need it. We want to avoid it all, you know. But the illusion's always, it's always a lie. The illusions is always a lie. But they have to keep it rolling into that mental mind Rolodex. They got to just keep it spinning in order for them to keep, perpetuating that story. It repeats long enough to begins to feel real. See, when it feels real, you can't tell them nothing different. Then it's like, oh no, it's no, that's what happened. No, God, knowing damn well, like that's not it. That's actually not it. But we got to keep moving along. We got to keep the we got to keep moving along. We got to keep it. Stay with me, y'all. Stay with me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the Willis Podcast. This is what we do here. We like to discover. We like to rediscover. We like to explore sociological, mental mind concepts of people. We like to operate with you know, a physical, just a philosophical mind state that we can just kind of say, damn, some people, including ourselves. Now we don't leave ourselves out of these equations. We got to say, hey, we all kind of got to, adhere to something because we are out of balance. We're out of alignment. So yeah, subscribe to this channel, the Willis Podcast. We're about to move into the preconceived notions that become mental habits. Man, I mean, think about that. The preconceived notions, they become mental habits. I think I see what I don't see, but I know how I see it. I know I see what I see. But but the thing is, these illusions rarely start overnight. They don't just happen. They don't just hop up out. It's these repetitive things that make these illusions seem to be real, but they're really not real. They're not real. But you got to think about it though. Most of the time, they grow from some shit people done carried for years, man. You would never know how many times people have carried some of these false notions, false preconceived notions, false elements of life that they keep carrying, but they keep distancing themselves as well. It's like it almost becomes a barrier. You understand like the problem that they turn into it's like habits. The habits of thinking too. Like they never stop going with these habits of thinking. And that lets you know that it's conditional, extremely conditional, because if you have formulated this way of thinking and how you have made and constructed your mind to think, there's a way that you have to come up out of it. But the thing is, there sometimes it's inherited. These inherited beliefs come from your parents in the way that they have made you, and they have sort of pressed their beliefs upon you, so they're inherited. You always looking up to your parents to say, "Oh, you're always doing what they doing. They're your first superheroes. It's your damn parents, of course. You're gonna be like, okay, what they doing? Oh, okay, so you inherit those beliefs. You know what I'm saying? So then the assumption was, like the assumptions people never question. You never even question these assumptions because you inherited these motherfuckers. So you're like, oh, wait a minute, I do that. I, yeah, it's you really got to take time with yourself. Think about that for a second though. You really think about it. Really